Hi yogis, Amanda here, creator of Yoga for Bigger Bodies. Thanks for joining me again. Today's class is all chair yoga. So chair yoga is really great for those of us who might be office bound for part of the week, such as I am, and don't have a lot of space or stuck in a chair and just need to refresh and rejuvenate throughout the day. It's also great for anyone who might have some joint issues going on or has real difficulty getting up and down from the floor. Everything is supported with the chair, either sitting on it or standing behind, so you don't have to bend down deep to get to the floor. It's also a nice little thing that you can throw in if you're on a trip or again in the office or just in any sort of confined space where you don't have a lot of yoga or a lot of space to unroll the mat and really get the body moving, those big movements that we would do in a regular class. So whenever we are going to do yoga in a chair, ideally if you can use a straight back chair like the kitchen chair I have here, that is ideal. Folding chairs are really not the best option unless they lock, and even then I would suggest maybe placing them on a mat or against a firm wall or the edge of a desk so it doesn't move. In the office, your office chair probably swivels and rolls around. If you can, lock those wheels, also the swivel of the chair if you can, or again, if you can't lock those, brace the chair against something. We don't want it to slip away, especially if you're doing standing work beside it or behind it and then have you sort of fall over. So definitely don't want to do that. So make sure that you brace the chair, or you could even do a lot of these standing poses, for instance, against a table or a countertop or a desk. So to get started, we're going to find seated mountain pose. So in our seated poses, unless we're using the legs, we want to have the feet grounding down into the floor. So the heels are going to drop right underneath the knees. We want to ground the whole of each foot down, sitting a little bit toward the front edge of the chair, grounding those sit bones as well. Sit up as tall as you can, shoulders over the hips. Hands can rest on the lap, or you can bring your hands to heart center. Gently hug your navel back toward your spine. So we're not sucking in the gut, we're not holding the breath, we're just gently tightening those tummy muscles backwards, giving those internal organs a nice little hug. Back of the neck is long. Bring your eyes closed or to a half gaze. We're just going to take a few breaths here in seated mountain pose, grounding ourselves. This is a strong pose, even though it looks like we're not doing much more than sitting. We want to engage our muscles, hugging them back toward the bone. Moving into seated heart salutations. Inhale, let's reach those arms up. Exhale, hands reach behind, clasp them or let them rest on the back of the chair. Inhale, lift and open. Chest rises toward the ceiling. Gently hug the shoulder blades back. Exhale, hands to the thighs. Bring it forward, forward fold. Roll it up, one vertebra at a time. Inhale, arms reach up and overhead. Exhale, sweep those hands behind. Lift and open. Exhale, bring it forward, bend and hinge. Seated heart salutations are great just to get that spine moving, get the blood moving, get the shoulders warmed up. So if you've been sitting for a long time, this is nice to just throw in every hour or so, a couple rounds of seated heart salutations. Exhale, bring it forward. Roll it up one vertebra at a time. It gets the spine flexing and extending. Last time, inhale, reach it up. Exhale, hands reach behind. Lift and open. So we're gently arching the back, finding a little back bend, supported with the hands behind us. Exhale, bring it forward, forward fold. Inhale, let's lift it up. Bringing those hands, keeping those hands on the thighs. Shoulders rolling back and down. We're going to move into seated cat and dog, and I'm just going to turn to the side so it's a little bit easier to see. But still sitting toward the edge of the chair, feet are grounded. Seated cat and dog is just like we would do on all fours. So we exhale, let those hands travel forward, round your shoulders forward, tuck your tailbone, send your back rounding to the back of the chair like that scary Halloween cat. And then for dog, let your hands travel back, lift and open, shoulders roll back and down, chest lifts. Let your tailbone drop out a little bit, stick out. So round that low back. Exhale, round it into cat. Inhale, lift and open, finding dog. Exhale, round into cat. Let those shoulders creep forward toward your ears. Inhale, reaching back to dog. One more time, exhale. Inhale. Nice job. We're going to lift it up, stand it up, and bring it around to the back of the chair. Again, I'm just going to do it from the side so it's a little bit easier to see. We're going to come into half dog on the back of the chair. This is just like we would do in class on the wall. It's a nice variation on downward facing dog where we obviously don't have to get all the way down to the floor. So again, if you're using an office chair, make sure you're bracing it against something. Hands are shoulder width apart or as wide as the back of the chair will allow if it has a narrower back. We're going to start to walk those feet back, bending those knees a little bit. We want the action to be coming from the hips. So we're hinging forward, letting the chest drop down, long spine. So notice from my tailbone through the crown of my head, I'm trying to keep it as flat as I can. So we want to avoid hunching or rounding forward. So hinging at the hips, bending those knees, especially if you're tight in the hamstrings. Now if you are tight in the hamstrings, maybe this is all the further you go when your muscles in the back body start really talking to you. If you have pretty open muscles, maybe you can drop pretty far forward. Again, little bend in those knees. And we want to, just as we do a dog, lift our tailbone up. So if you're tight in the low back and you're rounding here in the low back, lift your chest up a bit. Otherwise, if you've got some good movement in your hips, try to drop forward and lift that tailbone up. As soon as we uncurl that tailbone, that activates the hamstrings even more. So that's a pretty critical move if you're pretty open. Now we're going to add a little bit of a flow to our half dog. We're going to add some supported lunges. So lift yourself up, one foot steps forward almost all the way to the chair. Back heel grounds down. Hips and both feet face straight forward. We're bent into that front knee. Let your tailbone drop. Hips gently press forward. So the thigh of the back leg should have a little bit of a stretch in it. And reach back just a bit. So nice strong stretch in the back of that calf muscle into the hamstring. Let's step it back into half dog. And then other foot, step it forward, big step, bend into that front knee, back heel grounds, tailbone drops, reach up and back a bit. Let's let the shoulders relax here. Let's keep the motion in the low body. Step back, half dog. And one more time on each side. First foot, step it forward, back heel grounds, bend into that front knee, standing strong and standing tall. Imagine that the back of your rib cage is lifting away from the hips. Back, half dog. Other foot, step it forward, big step, bend into that front knee, reach it back. Ground that back heel. The temptation is to let it soften away. Get a nice strong stretch. Let's end on a half dog. Back, down, holding 4, 3, 2, last one. Nice job. Lift yourself up. We're going to step to the side of the chair. It doesn't really matter which side you start on, but one hand is going to be holding onto the chair. Feet are grounded just as we would do, say hi to the cat, just as we would do in mountain pose, standing up nice and tall. We're going to move into tree pose, so nice balance pose, and we have the chair here for support. So the foot that's closest to the chair is going to be our supporting foot. So let's pop the other heel. Keep your weight grounding down through the whole of this inside leg and foot. When you're ready, open up the other leg out to the side. So think about it like a gate, swinging open. If your balance is if you're feeling a little bit unstable, keep your toes on the floor. Otherwise, start to reach your foot up the inside of the leg. We just want to avoid letting the heel press directly on the inside of the knee. Standing up nice and tall, just as we would in mountain pose. So think back to the seated mountain pose that we did. Navel's hugging in, standing up tall, shoulders over the hips. And when we balance, even though we're holding onto the chair, we want to find something neutral to gaze at, something non-moving. If you want, this other hand can reach up. You can reach your supporting hand up, or reach it back down if you need to, if you're feeling a little bit unstable. 4, 3, 2, Last one, lower it down. We're going to switch sides. So just walk yourself on over to the other side of the chair or scoot the chair. Find your grounding foot closest to the chair. Other heel lifts. Open and lift as you're ready. Again, standing tall, standing strong. Find your neutral gaze. If you'd like, you can always release your hands to the hips, heart center, or reach one arm up. Toes on the floor if you need to for support. So lots of ways to be supported in our balance pose when we have the chair. Or maybe even you lean against it a little bit as I am here. Holding 4, 3, 2, last one. Nice job. Let's bring it down. Walk it back to your chair, and we're going to finish off actually with a seated twist, but we're going to actually sit to the side of the chair. So sit, again, nice and feet are grounded down, but let your seat scoot a little bit further back on the chair. Sitting up nice and tall, we're going to actually turn toward the back of the chair, holding on. So a nice supported twist. Try to reach your chest, turn your chest toward the back. Spine is nice and tall. Again, whenever we twist, we want to keep those vertebrae stacked. If we start to round as we twist, we start putting uneven pressure on the discs and the spine, and then we create imbalance. And we want to try to keep the spine tall so we can twist evenly. Taking your gaze behind you if you can. Navel hugs in, chest is lifted, staying 4, 3, 2, we're going to come back through center and then twist the other way. So setting yourself up just the same, sitting a little bit further back on the chair. Feet are still grounded, hands reach to the back of the chair and twist. Going into the twist as deeply as you can. Maybe pushing your edge just a little bit. So you get to that point where you're comfortable and then you twist a little bit deeper. Keep holding for 4, 3, 2, last one. Nice job. Let's round it back to center. Sitting up nice and tall, again a little bit toward the front of the chair. We're going to end as we began with seated mountain pose. So feet are grounded down, navel draws in. Sit up tall on your sit bones, shoulders over the hips. Let the hands rest into the back of the neck as long. Let your jaw relax. Let your brow relax. We'll close with 3 breaths. Inhale, arms reach up and overhead. Exhale, let it all out. 2 more, inhale. And exhale. Last time, inhale. And exhale those hands to heart center. Yogis, thanks again for joining me. I'm Amanda, creator of Yoga for Bigger Bodies, and today's chair yoga pose, again, is great if you're in a confined space, need to do a little bit of yoga while you're at work during the day, or you just have issues or need help because you can't get up and down for the floor, but you still want to have a yoga practice. So this is just a quick taste of it. Thanks again for joining me. Namaste.